We're just getting teed up our next guest. And so I'll preamble this. Now, I think late last year, was it? Ben filled me in because he's generationally different about a guy called Speed who was in New Zealand, a social media influencer who I hadn't heard of before and haven't really paid any attention to since. But this guy Speed was big on the interwebs with young people of a certain age. And Speed ran into problems in New Zealand, did he, Ben? Posting stuff while he was on holiday in New Zealand.
Yeah, and then the immigration, New Zealand came and sort of tried to have a go at him, but by that time he'd already left.
He was working, but he'd already left.
But he was getting paid by sponsors overseas, yeah.
To come to New Zealand.
Well, they were paying for the views that he was getting on his videos, which they do anyway.
Okay, which people do anyway.
Which they do anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it raises this whole question of people coming here as tourists but making money while they're here, and which should we tax them? Which, to be honest, seems really counterintuitive and mean to me. And the New Zealand government, in a great flash of publicity, Nicola Willis has come out and relaxed visa requirements to attract so-called digital nomads, people who travel while working remotely in an attempt to boost tourism. I have some cynicism about this and whether or not it'll make a blind bit of difference to the number of tourists coming here. And whether or not this is a global issue, or it's not a global. Is Vaughn ready now? We're just waiting until 10 past because he's in a lift. It's 10 past now, Ben. Do you reckon I give him a crack? Okay, I'll give him a crack. So to find out more of this, I thought we'd talk to our geek guy, Vaughn Davis. And he's on the phone now. Vaughn, how are you, mate?
Hey, Sean, I'm really good, thanks, yeah.
All right.
I was digital nomading my way up to the office in the lift.
Now, look, I just want to put this in context. I had a guy who does a lot of our digital work for us, a lot of our processing of our interviews and stuff, and he announced, which caused some consternation because he had briefly mentioned it to me 8 months ago, how would I feel if he went and lived in Melbourne? Could he still work for me? And then about 3 weeks before Christmas, he announced, well, I'm off to Melbourne on the 30th. And I said, that'll be a great holiday. He said, no, I'm going to live there. I did mention it to you. To be honest, I went away and had a cigarette and just let the steam calm down. And he has been in Melbourne now this year, and we haven't seen a single piece of difference in the work that he's doing because he's doing it all on a computer anyway. I miss his
it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening more and more.
I miss his smiling face.
Yeah, well, I know a young guy who works for a tech company here on Kanangahape Road, and got in the habit over COVID of mostly working from home. And then he told his employer, this is a generational thing, isn't it? He told his employer, mate, I'm thinking of going to work from home, except home's going to be Korea and Japan for 6 months. How's that going to go? And it went really well. It's happening more and more.
Yeah. My question about this digital nomad visa, how many people actually aren't coming to New Zealand? Well, for a start, how do you know if someone's doing some digital work while they're in New Zealand on holiday?
You don't. The only way you do is if you're like our mate Speed and you're running around Auckland with hundreds of fans and filming it all on for YouTube. Yeah. But really, this is just legitimising and putting the rubber stamp on something that's already happened. But this guy I spoke to who was in Korea and Japan, that was before they had digital nomad visas. They do now. But there was many people from all over the world working in those countries and getting away with it. And they're just aligning the law with behaviour. So that's probably a good thing. Saying or positioning it as something that's going to, transform the tourist economy.
Yeah, unlock the floodgates of digital nomad tourists to come to New Zealand. That's bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit. There's a couple of strikes against us. On the one hand, we're a lovely country. We're cheaper to live in than the places where most of the digital nomads come from, right? The UK, the US. We've got the internet, which is good. But it's not inconsequential that our time zones, if you look north on a map, there's nothing, right? Our time zones are way out of whack. And even when you're a digital nomad, you've still got to be part of that 9 o'clock all-hands meeting. And if that becomes a 3 a.m. all-hands meeting or a 11 p.m. all-hands meeting for you there in Queenstown or Wanaka or wherever, it becomes a little bit less attractive. So time zones matter. It's why South America does so well out of this, Mexico.
Yeah. One of my other key people lives in Finland, and the time zones there are bloody impossible, but, we do what we can. So really, this whole digital nomad announcement, Vaughn, let's be honest, isn't such a big deal then.
Oh, it's not a big deal. It means we're number 66 out of 66 countries that offer this visa now. How many countries are in the world? 200.
Does it cost you extra to get a digital nomad visa?
I was having a look at the Immigration NZ website. Not that I can see. The announcement all happened pretty quickly a couple of days ago, and it's live, and you can do it right now. I'm not sure if there's an extra cost, but if there was, it's likely to be one of those ones where the cost of administering the damn thing is going to outweigh any benefit. But it's a good announcement. It's good PR. Positions the government.
Let's just say it's an announcement, because it doesn't sound like it really practically means anything.
My day job is advertising, so it's a good ad for New Zealand. It says we're open for digital business, and that's important.
Yeah. Vaughn, while I've got you here, the other issue that in the last couple of days has come up, and I'm really interested in this issue, and once again, because, I'm 60 and a bit of a Luddite, I'm reading stories and social media posts that suggest that China has come up with a really good AI, artificial intelligence model, that it's going to flood the market with to kind of stymie, which would effectively stymie what has looked like the latest trend in tech investment, and that is that AI is going to make millions of or billions of dollars and change the world. And now I am told, and I am only kind of intuiting what I get through my social media exposure, that the Chinese have come up with something they're going to give away free in the AI space that destroys the business model or the expectations of the AI industry in the West.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in the story. So it's called DeepSeek. It's the Chinese equivalent of ChatGPT. People have used it, and I haven't had it play yet. I find that it's on a par with ChatGPT, except when you ask sort of nuanced political questions about China, it becomes not so. It becomes artificially unintelligent when it comes to those questions. But there's a few implications. If they've really pulled it off, if it is using a fraction of the computing power, firstly, they don't need as many chips, which you saw the US tech end of the stock market take a plummet yesterday, because everyone's counting on those chips being a big earner for the States and those companies in particular. Secondly, though, less chips means less computer, means less power. And you would have seen over the last 4 or 5 years at least 3 major data centres being built in New Zealand, and that's happening all around the world, right? Mm. These are built in anticipation of the need for computing power.
Well, Trump said it the other day. He said, AI, it's all going to use power. We got to have drill, baby, drill.
Yeah. And these are large. These are huge. These have a material impact on the New Zealand national grid. And suddenly you find a solution for AI that uses a fraction of that computing power. That could be good news for us as power consumers, bad news for the people who built those data centres.